Hello, everybody. Welcome to IBridge Experiential Learning Talks. We are here today in our new episode with Mr. Stuart Walker, a very experienced leader, a friend, and a great educator. So, good morning, Stuart. How are you?
Good morning, Francesco. Very well, thank you.
Thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today and for helping us to aspiring new leaders and new educators and share with your experience with us. So may I please ask you to introduce yourself so our audience will know more about you.
Sure, Francesco. Look, I've been a head of school in a number of different locations. For now, I think this is year 29 as a head of school. In Australia, Canada, New York, Malaysia, Dubai, China, and currently I'm head of a school in Cyprus. So a variety of locations, also a variety types of schools, so for-profit, not-for-profit, full scholarship schools, also different curricula. So I've been a head of the Australian curriculum, IB schools, British curriculum schools as well.
Oh, really, really good. Really, really interesting. So you were able to travel around the world and find different people, different culture also. A question about your leadership styles. How did you adapt your leadership style according to the culture, the schools you work with, and the board also you served?
Sure. I think the most important thing is immersing yourself in the culture of the context of the school that you are going to be part of. So really understanding and taking the time to meet people and to ensure that you understand what the drivers of the school are. And I think you've got to build trust and respect, and that takes time. And really the most important thing is listening to people, understanding their perspective, and also not having a fixed version of what leadership looks like. It's about being flexible and having flexible leadership. And you've got to adapt your leadership to the specific requirements of that, whether it's China, Dubai, Malaysia, or Cyprus. Each of those different contexts for me has been quite different, and particularly the Chinese one where, it was a very, very different cultural experience, and that was also during COVID as well. So that it's about, I think the fundamental piece is about being flexible and also building trust and respect. And that takes time and a lot of work.
Indeed, yes, I agree with you. And linked to what you said before, so you mentioned China. It was your last post before you moved to Cyprus. Can you share with us any innovation you implemented there that could be useful for us to understand or have tangible examples in what way aspiring leaders or leaders can implement also in their current context, in their own context?
Yeah. So I was head of a large school in China, which had been set up in Hangzhou, which was the high-tech center of China. But in essence, the premise of the school was to bring the best of Western education and the best of Chinese education together so that students could go out into the world and attend the best universities in the world. So when they came into our school, they essentially were cutting themselves off from the Chinese university path, and they therefore were looking overseas. So we introduced a number of, it's not really innovation when you look at a number of, at schools perhaps around the world, but the use of data and standardized testing to be able to create benchmarks for students so that they had a real understanding of where they were against the rest of the world, and particularly because we're a British curriculum school, so against British standards, as most of them would be applying for British universities. So we introduced CAP 4 testing, and so that we could get benchmarks and then get continual markers of progress. And then we also introduced PASS testing, which gave a pastoral understanding. we were then able to connect those two things to try and identify specific students who were vulnerable and who potentially at risk in different ways, and then be able to put intervention in place. We also used WEDA testing for language improvement. And then we introduced, IBridge, test prep, etc., as they moved forward to try and it really was a lot of educating parents and getting them to understand what these tests were, why we were doing it, and how they could be used. And once they got the understanding of how data could be used to improve learning, they were all over it. The parents just loved it, and we gave them full access to it, online access to it. So I think an important thing there is when you are innovating in an international setting, that there has got to be cultural sensitivity, and you've got to acknowledge the high standards of Chinese education in that case, and then how to bring perhaps some Western ideas together to bring about student improvement. And really, there are other things about, there are cultural things there with boarding, so that all of our students in year 9, 10, 11 and 12 were all boarders. That's just what is done in China. So that we had 600 boarders there at the school. And then we had to listen to parents and students, and we re-engineered it rather than coming to it from because when I arrived, it had been a very Western imposed system on the boarding. So we had to listen to the parents and the students and re-engineer that. And then we were able to bring about, real improvements in their ability to be able to learn in that sort of environment.
So bringing parents into the school, so students, parents into the school to let them understand the vision and the way that you were going, right? So data, you mentioned data, and this is really, really important, especially nowadays, as we've seen a lot of governments moving towards PISA or moving towards data analysis. And with your previous experience, you worked as a senior policy advisor for the Ministry of Education in Sydney. And can you share with us at least something that is going to be beneficial to understand in what way the education, for governmental education, can move forward in terms of moving policies, focus on policies and improving the educational system worldwide? I know this is a wide question, but at least in what way we can shift the paradigm of education and make this old-fashioned education standards in a completely development education, new era of education.
Well, it was a fascinating opportunity to work directly with the Minister for Education, and I suddenly very quickly understood that I had significant influence and perhaps power, as soon as we moved into the office, we were able to change things right across one of the largest education systems in the world, which was New South Wales education system. But it was really, once again, is taking the opportunities there. We're looking at what the data said about education and where we were failing, and being real about the deficiencies of things. But also then in my role, I guess my advice to people who are working as educators and going to ministry people is try to get to policy advisors rather than because they actually have influence with the politicians, and being able to paint a picture of something that is better. You've got to, it's no point going in and simply complaining about this and that. You've got to come up with solutions to problems because, quite literally, there were two of us as senior policy advisors to the Minister for Education. And so the range of issues on the plate that we had was huge. And so we can't be given the problem without solutions. And I think that's the same, whether it is a large ministry or if you're going to your board or if you're going to a group of schools or you're working within in a company, let's say even in a for-profit education, is don't simply complain about the problems, come up with solutions and have the data and the evidence to back your solution up and go in there well prepared. And then if you make things easy for people, you'll get those solutions very quickly.
That's really good. I really like it, your words. So don't come up with problems, find a solution. It looked like a really great slogan, a great marketing slogan. Really, really brilliant. Thank you, Stuart. I'm really curious about your experience. I'm fascinated because I'm also a new leader in my context. But and what I really admire you, that you have been in many different places and you were able to shape, reorganize and regenerate this place. And I'm curious about your experience in Middle East. And as we see nowadays is a busy market, the Middle East. So in what way, when you were there, how did you face the challenge of bringing the IB philosophy in almost a saturated market with a lot of international schools?
I was the head of school of GEMS World Academy in Dubai, which was a full IB school. And it was a large school, but it wasn't achieving the sort of standards that really we wanted to see. So it was achieving the world average in outcomes of around 30. And it had been set up, the focus there, I guess, I came when the school was 7 years old, and the focus had been about growth. And as you say, it is an incredibly competitive market, but it had been growth and just students getting it filled up. And there hadn't been a focus on, the IB. And it was the flagship IB school of the GEMS company. So therefore, it really was about getting the whole community to understand the IB philosophy, to take the learner profile and to make that part of every single lesson, to make it part of daily life right through the whole school. So that, and it was also about ensuring that standards were improved by improving professional development for staff. We had to create a new leadership team. We got the right leadership team in, and we were able to raise the IB standard from 30 to 38 in 4 years. Now that comes because we all work together, a complete understanding of the vision of the school, how we were going to do that, professional development with our teachers, simple things like every lesson on the whiteboard, having the lesson objectives, having what learner profile attributes we're going to be focused upon in that lesson, so that every student walked around that school. And my own children went there, and we used to have jokes about it at dinner, we're being risk takers, etc. And it became a little bit of a, it wasn't trite, but it became so ingrained in everyone that it was very obvious that it was an IB school as soon as you walked into it. And we were then able to also, once we'd started on that sort of pathway of improving standards of, introducing response to intervention once again through using data, all of those things that we've sort of talked about, CAT 4 and PASS. We also then were able to bring real innovation into the program through the introduction of Mother Tongue program, which aligned with the IB. So we actually taught 13 Mother Tongue programs at the school within the curriculum, which made us the biggest language centre in Dubai. We also introduced a entrepreneurship program. We were a hub for entrepreneurship in Dubai, which then, so we were able to, as you talked about a saturated market, we were able to create a market identity for ourselves at the same time as improving standards, improving opportunities for young people to go on to universities and to take that IB philosophy into the rest of their life as well.
Really brilliant. Thank you. I'm having some ideas that I'm going to implement personally in our school. So thanks for your talk. Really, really great. I'm curious to understand about if we move to on the technological side. So as you have seen all around the world, there is this buzz of AI. Everything is talking about AI and technology. International schools, local schools, government are moving forward to implementing technology. What are your thoughts about moving towards the technology? How do you think that we will find a balance in improving technologically advanced, but also don't miss that we need, someone said that soft skills are really, really needed in the future. So what do you think? What are your thoughts about the balancing of both of them?
I think it isn't an option any longer in education. I mean, it's essential. I mean, our world is, I'm a dinosaur. When I started teaching, none of this stuff existed. And we've had to adapt and, we've had to make it very real. So in Malaysia at Garden International and in Dubai, I introduced a one-to-one platform, one-to-one iPad platform. We did the same sort of thing in China at the same time. So it was about using technology in a way which was going to enhance learning. And I suppose if to put it into sort of, once again, you talked about a slogan, but technology has got to be an enabler. It's not the answer to everything, because we've got to ensure that we maintain human connections with that. And that's critical. That it's a tool. It's a fantastic tool. And I mean, I love AI and I use it every single day. In terms of being an educator, I'm just so sad that I'm sort of coming towards the end of my career and I haven't had this around, because and I'm actually still teaching and using it in my classes and working with students to use it in a way that is exciting and which helps them to learn. And I think that there are so many tools that we've got, but in that class, the most important thing is still my relationship with those students. Mm-hmm. And that's what enables them to be able to learn in a way that is different to the way that they could just learn online if they wanted to. And so I think that's the critical piece. Yes, we've got all of these things now create further issues for us, the ethical considerations and all those sort of things. But that's exciting because we're moving into a world that is new and moving so fast. And these kids that we're educating are, that's their world that they're going to live in. And we've got to be able to move with them as leaders. We've got to be able to try and be ahead of the curve.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, I agree with you. So we need to be fast. We need to be also adaptable, definitely. This is a great opportunity for me also to ask a question about your board experience. That this podcast was created to help aspiring leaders and even aspiring board members. So with your experience as a board member, having many different boards responsibilities, what do you think the role of the board is ensuring support and leadership? So can you tell us a little bit about the way that the board needs to act or ethically to support the leaders of a course and support also the school?
Yeah, look, I think it's a really valuable insight that I have had because I'm a member of boards. I've been a member of 4 different schools. I'm currently a member of the board in Baku, at European Azerbaijan School, which and it allows me to see both sides, to see the issues that the board has got to do, and as a head of school to be able to advise boards from our perspective as educational leaders. And so really that to me is about having a strategic partnership between the leadership of the school and also the board, and ensuring that those roles of governance and management are very, very clear, and that both parties are not moving into areas that they shouldn't be involved in. And I guess so. It's all about relationships. And we've got to have effective schools, and really high-performing schools are ones where your board or your governing body and your management, the vision is aligned, and so that you both understand where you're going. And I think this is the same even within a school and within school leadership. You get high-performing leadership teams when you have a vision that is aligned. Everyone understands the purpose of the school, the purpose of where you are going, and so that alignment is very clear. And I think a lot of leaders, when you talk about aspiring leaders, particularly when they come up and they're first encountering a board, there's that tendency to think, oh, these people are judging me, and there's got to be that balance around governance and accountability. The board is responsible to whoever. If it's a company, then obviously it's to the company. If it is a government school, it's to the government. If it's a not-for-profit school, there's to the trust or whoever. So there is accountability. You've got to hold the leadership of the school accountable, and we as leaders have got to ensure that we are open and transparent with them.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much for this deep insight of boarding. Last question. So is about helping aspiring leaders. If you have any other tips or tangible tips that you can share with aspiring leaders or aspiring board members or future leaders, so what will you share with them?
What I've seen in the last sort of 10 to 15 years is actually not a lack of, but a reduction in the number of people that really want to move into leadership positions, which is disappointing, because it isn't easy. It isn't easy, but it's also the most rewarding thing you can possibly do. The advice to aspiring leaders is make it part of a journey. Ensure that you are having fun when you do it.
Yes.
Because there are some people that I've seen that have gone into it and they focus on getting to where they want to, and they lose perspective on why we're doing this. And I think you've got to keep that. And when I was talking about that purpose, if you've always got the purpose is about ensuring that we are improving and increasing the opportunities for young people, then you know where you're going.
Yes.
And everything that you do is focused on that. Now, if you are already in leadership positions, it's the way that we have been able to bring about improvements in the schools that I've been leading is not me, it's about the team. It's about building a strong team that is cohesive, that quite often enjoy each other's company, and work together. They know what each other's jobs are. They get on, and everyone is working hard, but also having a lot of fun.
Indeed.
I make a big thing about trying to have social interaction and to enjoy ourselves. Because if you're not enjoying yourself, why are we doing this? And then I guess it's also to understand that it's about continuous improvement. It's not about one-off type programs and things that we do. It's about constantly improving not only what you're doing within the school, but you as a leader is constantly. I went on an Erasmus Plus program in Amsterdam around the 4 C's of education. Now, I'd known these from a long time, but I wanted to refresh myself around critical thinking and all these sorts of things. And so taking that time and the opportunity to give you space to think and to see that you are never the finished product, that you always can learn, I think is an important part of leadership.
That's really, really great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Stuart, for talking to us about board experience, policymakers, bring parents together, and of course, or have a strong leadership team to succeed and then definitely to develop your own context. This has been really, really a brilliant talk. Thank you very much.
Happy to.
And
Thank you
look
for the
forward to
invitation.
see you soon. Yes, thank you. Have a lovely day.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Francesca.
Thank you for being with us today with our IBridge Experiential Learning Talks. We look forward to see you in the next episode. Bye.